Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna take you around one of the new communities here in Calgary, and I'm going to show you what type of different homes you could typically get in Calgary. So now keep in mind that the houses that I'm going to show you are just more typical in the new communities in Calgary. If you go more downtown or more to an older community, you're going to have a couple different styles, but in general in this video we're going to have a look at different types of homes you can get in new communities. So enough of my rambling. Let's get into this video. First kind of entry point home that you'll see in new communities are your 4-story condominium buildings. So this is very typical of a building that you'll see in a new community in Calgary. It'll be a wood frame building. These are condo buildings, so there'll be condo fees associated with it. You're definitely not gonna see like big, huge high rises in the new suburb communities in Calgary. Typically, the buildings will be maybe like 4 or 5 stories max, that's it. So I'm gonna cross the street right now without getting ran over. Okay, here we go. So these are kind of your typical front of condo townhouses in Calgary. This is one up from an apartment building, and these are pretty popular in Calgary because you're not having to deal with elevators. You have your own garage, which I'll show you in a second once we go to the back. Right about now you're looking at most likely the mid 400s for a condo townhouse in general, but for a first-time home buyer it's a good option because that way you're getting a decent size 3-bedroom house and not having to go into an apartment building. Here's the back of the condo townhouses. And you can see these are only single garages, which are not as ideal. I do prefer the double garage, but for this community, it looks like they just got the single garages here. What I do like about the attached garage is that, especially in the winter months in Calgary, you're not gonna have to leave your house to get into your vehicle. You can just go right down your stairs into your garage. Now, the only downside about having your garage on the main floor is that it's gonna take up most of the square footage of the main floor of your house. So your living room is actually gonna be on the 2nd floor. So to get up to the main part of your house, you're gonna have to walk up the stairs. These guys are your freehold townhouses. So there's no condo fees with these ones. The only downside to that is there's gonna be a little bit more maintenance involved, but typically in the new townhouses, they'll have kind of this maintenance-free landscaping, so it's not gonna be grass, it'll just be wood chips. So you won't have to cut the grass of the front of your house at all. But this is kind of what they look like. These are your typical street towns, and they'll usually come in a block of 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4 units with 2 exterior units. That'll be more money, and then the interior ones. And the pricing for these guys are typically usually around the high 400s, low 500,000s, just depending on how much square footage you have inside the house and whether there's a garage built in the home or not. So I'll take you around to the back of these guys now, and I'll show you what it looks like in the back and how they're a little bit different than the condo townhouses. So we're at the back of these freehold townhouses now. And so you'll have a laneway that you drive your vehicle to. And then most of the times with the builders, they won't have the garage built just to kind of save on costs and get you in at a lower price point. But there'll usually be a gravel parking pad in the back. And then some builders will build fencing and others won't. This builder in particular does the fencing, and I'll actually take you around to the inside. So you get a backyard with these guys, which is kind of nice. So it's fully fenced. You got a deck, all the landscaping's done on this one. And then this will kind of be your own private green space here for the freehold towns. Because it's a freehold town, so there's gonna be more maintenance involved, so you will have to cut your own grass in your backyard. So that's just something to pay attention to if you do decide to go with a freehold townhouse. Find out what's going to be finished in the back. Is the fencing going to be done? Are all 3, like the whole perimeter of the fencing, going to be done? Is the landscaping, so sodding, going to be finished? Is it going to come with a garage? These are all important questions you want to know. So that'll kind of definitely dictate the pricing and then how much more money you're going to have to spend to get it up to speed and up to par in the future. And then also with that said, these parking pads as well, if you want to later on down the road, you can build your own garage here. And typically, as of shooting this video, you're probably looking at about $15,000 to $20,000 to have a garage built. And then, you know, that's nice to have with the Calgary winters. You can park your vehicle in a garage and not to have it on a parking pad getting all frozen in the wintertime, which is not ideal. But if you want to save on costs again, then this is kind of what you get for the freehold townhouses. So the next one up from the freehold townhouse is the detached homes. And the first detached home you'll see in these new communities is what they call a laned home. So this is kind of what your typical laned home looks at. And it's called a laned home because there's no driveway in the front of the house. The parking pad is actually in the back and it's connected by a laneway. And if you want to have, again, just like at the freehold townhouses, they'll come with a parking pad in the back. And if you want to add a garage to it, you can either do it with the builder or you could do it in the future if you want to. So the laned homes, you're typically looking at starting right now, roughly depending on the neighborhood, in around the mid 500s, just depending on how much square footage you have. So if you want to get into a detached home and not have any neighbors attached to you, that's typically what people will start at. And then they'll work their way up to the front garage home, which is right across the street for me. This one's actually a show home by Jamin Homes. And they actually have the garage set up as an office right now. So this glass is where the garage would be. And then with these guys, you're gonna have a driveway in the front of the house, which is kind of a little bit more work in the wintertime because as opposed to the laned homes where you don't have a driveway, you're gonna be shoveling a lot more snow, which is kind of not that great. But the plus side to these front garage attached home is that your garage is attached to the house. So you don't need to leave the house to get into your vehicle and heat it up and then be on your way. But yeah, these guys are typically your bigger square footages in these Calgary neighborhoods. And you know, they're on average anywhere between 1,800 and 2,200 square feet. And now, so the backyards of these ones, you're not going to have a laneway in the back, so it'll just be your standard backyard. And one thing you want to keep in mind with builders as well is most of the time you won't have any fencing constructed or landscaping done at the back of the home. So that's definitely something that you want to budget for after you purchase one of these big houses, is the landscaping in the back. So you're sodding and then having the fencing complete. So you have a nice backyard for your family to hang out in, and you can have the privacy and the nice grass that the, you know, the fence and the sodding is gonna give you. There is actually one more type of home in these new communities, actually two more types of homes that I forgot about. One of them is a bungalow. So the bungalows, everything's gonna be on one level. You don't see those very often. Very rarely do I see a bungalow in a new community. That's just because most people want two-story homes so they can have their bedrooms up on the second floor and you'll get a little bit more square footage. So the builders can build bungalows, but there's just nowhere near as popular. And then the other one is the duplex. So again, kind of like the freehold townhouse, but with the duplex, you're only going to be attached on one side of the home, which is not like super ideal, but it's a little bit better than the freehold townhouses where you're going to have someone attached to you on either side of your home, unless you're buying an end unit for a freehold townhouse, but then that's when it becomes a little bit more expensive. Another bonus thought that I had too is that another thing you want to find out as well when you're buying, especially a detached home, is whether your lot is going to be a conventional traditional lot. With a traditional lot, you're going to have more space in between the homes beside you, and you're going to see this a lot in especially the older communities when builders only really did conventional traditional lots. Now with these new communities, in order to get more people in there and to save on costs, you're going to either have a zero lot line, and a zero lot line is on one side of your house, you're going to have the house beside you is going to be a lot closer, And then on the other side, you're gonna have a little bit more spacing, and that side is typically where you'll have your gate to get to your outdoor gate to get to the back of your house. So that's another thing that you want to find out too when you're talking to a builder. Is this lot that I'm thinking about purchasing, is it a zero lot line lot where my neighbors are a lot closer? Or is it a conventional lot where I have a little bit more space? And obviously with the conventional lots, you're gonna pay a premium for that. As always, guys, if you're considering making a move to Calgary, reach out to Steph and I. We'd love to help you through the journey of purchasing either a new home or a existing home here in Calgary. We've worked really hard to develop awesome relationships with the builders here in Calgary, and we'd like to pass that knowledge and those perks on to you. So give us a phone call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We're here to help, and we'll see you guys on the next one.